Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Sorry, I got momentarily distracted because I forgot to open my garage door for ventilation. Let me do that real fast. There we go. Hello. I see Bluesy and I see Mahalo. So, I guess, we're here today. It's actually relatively cool today. It was like in the 70s earlier today. I think it just hit 80 outside. So it's pretty cool or as far as how it has been lately. So I'm pretty excited today. Um, so yeah, I guess let's get started. So today we are going to continue working on our tongs. We've got two halves that are pretty well similar. If you kind of put them together and look at them, they're pretty, they've got pretty even profiles. I'm pretty happy with that, you know. The angles are the same and the lengths are primarily the same. Save the, reins. And we still need to mess with the reins to begin with. So yeah, we are going to continue working on these. Hopefully we'll be able to finish them, but there might be a little bit of stuff that we need to do on Monday, but that's all right because I went to the steel supplier today looking for a piece of good stock that we could use for our axe, our folded axe, and the only stock that they had in stock, like in the store itself, that I could use was this giant piece of round 4140. So this would be a great piece of stock for a punched axe, but I'm not looking to do a punched axe. I'm looking to do a folded axe that has a forge welded bit. And so we're going to have to do a little bit of stock processing on Monday. So if we have to finish up the tongs, that's not that big of a deal because, like I said, we got to do a lot of stock processing. I want to turn this from this round 10-inch long piece of stock into a piece of flat bar. And so we're going to use a little bit of elbow grease and the press to kind of flatten this out so that we can make our lovely axe head. So good evening, Sandwich. Hi. All right. So I like the last propane tank that I was using has kind of run its course. I started it to kind of try and heat up the forge a little bit before I started the stream, but it was being puffy already, so it wasn't amazingly puffy, but I just wasn't going to heat up as much as I wanted to. We're going to have to use the big forge so that we can get the heat where we want it on these guys now that they're bent. So this week's propane, or our next canister of propane, is brought to us by Tim. So Tim donated $25 to my KoFi and purchased us a propane tank. So Tim's name is now on the propane bottle for the next 3 to 4 streams. And thank you so much, Tim. So I am going to hook this guy up, and we're going to start up the forge. I am using Tim for the moment. This propane tank is named after our lovely sponsor, Tim. He is, I think his Twitch name is Tim the Mind Coach, I think. He is on the end screen, so, but yes, thank you so much, Tim, for donating propane. All right, this one goes right here. So I'm going to hook this up And then we'll light it once that ad is done. Let's see if I can get this thing nice and on there. Open it. Man, all I smell right now is Sharpie. Need to come up with a better way to label these propane tanks. Alrighty. So once the ad is over with, I will start up this propane or the start up the forge, and then we'll get started. Start heating our metal and stuff. What else do I have to tell you guys? I have a couple other things that I do need to tell you guys, and I will once I finish starting the forge, we will finish out our I don't know, maintenance, whatever, you know, whatever you want to call that, housekeeping. All right, looks like that first set of ads is done, so let's start up this forge. All right. There we go. Much mo better. Alrighty. So, I'm going to start with this guy right here. We got to spend a little bit of time drawing out this rain. As you can see, when you kind of line these guys up, this guy has a shorter end. So we're going to start here. And I'm going to throw things, I guess. And because we are using the big forge, it's going to take us a little bit of extra time to get that heat. Like with the mailbox, we can get heat like that, but with the big guy, it takes a little bit extra time. So we're going to have a little bit more talkie time today. Or I could drop my propane holder, or my mini torch holder. There we go. Much more better. Erga. Alrighty, so housekeeping. I added an emote to the tier 1 sub. It's an animated emote. It is needs more fire. I think the trigger for it is needs more. So that is available for you guys. I still want to do a more fire, like more heat emote, and I want that to be like more pixel art, but I haven't come up with a good design yet. So hopefully this one is okay in the meantime, while you guys are waiting for that one. Bouncing off the floor is the first test of a tool. Yes. Drop the linger one off enough to the right angle. Yeah. Oh, the longer one enough in that angle. Yep. So yeah, that Mahalo has posted the new emote. So I don't know. What do you guys think? You like it? It is a little thing that I edited this morning. I was honestly surprised that it actually escaped Twitch purgatory, because most of my emotes, it takes a couple days for them to come on to be usable. They have to like review them and make sure that they're like related to the stream or something like that. So I hope you guys like it. Well, that worked well. Phone died just as I said hello. Good day, everybody. Hi, Pyrex. Welcome to the stream. We are just getting started. Looks like we're actually getting a decent amount of heat relatively quickly. It's not quite as much heat as I want. We're still in the orange phase, and I'd like to see some bright lemon yellow. So hopefully we can get that, or get the steel up to that temperature, and it'll be easy to move it. Move it. Blacksmithing drains a lot of energy. It does. I mean, energy from the smith and also energy from the environment. So, propane or coal or, electricity for induction forges. It does. Blacksmithing takes a lot of energy. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about this piece of steel here. It is a inch and a quarter in diameter, or maybe it's an inch and a half. I can't remember what the guy said. This is kind of like an offcut. He only had this single bar of 4140, and so what I did was I looked up. I was looking up places to buy tool steels, and I actually found one that was in my town, which is really, really odd because we do have a steel supply on the other side of the river as well in St. Louis, so that's like an hour-ish away. So this one was like 15 minutes away, and they have this like website. It's like kind of a national place, so I found one of their distributors. So this is all they had on hand, or like this size is all they had on hand. So I just got a 10-inch section of it. It is, I think this is actually supposed to be for a lathe, but we're going to be able to forge it pretty well. We'll have to anneal it, so I'll see about cutting it into a manageable section and annealing it this weekend so that it's ready to go, ready to forge on Monday. Like I said, we're kind of going to have to forge it down into a plate. So we'll probably do a lot of that forging on Monday. Hopefully we can get it all nice and taken care of, and then we can start on Wednesday actually shaping this into a axe head. And from the phone, yes. I mean, it's all of that data that's coming through your phone, Phones take a lot of power, and, especially when you're streaming. So, what else is happening? Got a little bit of work to do for some YouTube videos this weekend. And so I get to do that on maybe a little on Saturday, but probably primarily on Sunday. So I might be a little bit tired on Monday. Hopefully I'll be fine. And if I am a little bit tired, we'll just use the press to process that steel. It is hot data. It needs to be cooled. Yeah. All right. We're getting close to the heat that I'd like to see so that we can draw out that rain a little bit further. We are also, I want to modify the area that the rivet sits. Right now it is the full width of the stock, so I want to smash that in so that it fits, the two fit together really nicely, and they'll open and close easily. Because I need something to hold this stock with. So it should work pretty good, I'm hoping. I'm hoping to get some good grip. All right. When I was moving the propane tank, I did actually accidentally accidentally bump into the camera or one of the tripods, so I'm gonna go check those and turn on the recording function, and then we'll see how that, or if it stayed in focus and stuff. Then we'll do our first heat. Alright, it looks like it stayed pretty well in focus. So let's start the record function. And we'll start that record function. Alrighty. This is probably why 2K does not work. Twitch can handle that resolution only from room temperature data. I mean, maybe. Checklist item, memory cards deleted. They are deleted. I remember this time for once in my life. Now I just need to remember to cut the clip every 30 minutes or so, or I will end up filling up my memory card on the wide shot. Alright, let's change cameras real fast. And get started. Alright, back in the fire. See, you guys still get to treat me, you know, like a Tamagotchi, because I need you guys to help me remember to, like, cut my clips and things. Indeed, significantly less scale with the Big Forge. Yeah, but that's also because the Big Forge doesn't get the stock quite as hot as the Little Forge does, right? So when I brought that out, it was a bright yellow-orange, but when I bring it out of the mailbox, it tends to be like a very light yellow into the white. So that's why we don't get nearly as much scale, I guess. So yeah. And it's because the two burners aren't actually that different in size. But the Big Forge is significantly more area that it needs to heat. Let's see. I don't know. I do still need to sweep though, because I may not be generating any more scale, but I didn't actually sweep not yesterday. It would have been Wednesday. I didn't sweep Wednesday. I do need to sweep Wednesday. Or today. Would I be wrong to assume the scale is oxidation of the outer surface, and that the hotter the part, the more the oxidation takes place? I mean, it is oxidation, right? But I'm not necessarily certain why heating it more would create more scale. I can't really tell you an answer for that. I do know that the hotter things get, oftentimes scale does form more, more often. And it could totally be that because it takes more oxygen to get the heat that high. So maybe there's just more maybe it's more oxygen rich, and so therefore it's oxidizing more. I mean, that's just a guess. I can't tell you really the chemistry involved there, because I have an educated guess, but I don't know for sure. That would be my guess, though, is that it's more oxygen rich, because it has to be, because the flame is eating the oxygen to increase the heat. So, yeah. ASAIK, pretty much all chemical reactions take place faster at higher temperatures. I mean, yeah, you're right. Only the main forge going. Yeah, right now I'm only using the main forge, and the reason is because after I bent these pickup tongs into the correct like shape, I when I started pulling them out of the mailbox started moving on the table because it was getting caught, and I'm just afraid that I will accidentally try and pull a piece of steel out and drop the mailbox on the floor while it is still lit. That would damage both the mailbox, but it would also cause major issues. I don't want to drop my fire. Um, so we are using the bigger forge because it has more space and I don't have to worry about, getting things stuck in there or making sure that they fit. So anytime I use weird shapes or a large stock, we have to use either the big gas forge or the coal forge. We will be using the coal forge at some point within the next 2 weeks because since we're doing a wrapped axe base, we are going to be doing the forge welding, and I'm a lot better at forge welding in the coal forge than I am in the gas forge. Tim, yes. This week's propane container was brought to us by Tim, who donated $25 to my KoFi. And so while this propane tank is like still, powering the forges, the sign will remain on the propane tank. Thank you, Tim, for sponsoring one propane tank. So yeah. Like I said, hopefully we can get the vast majority of these last few things done for these pickup tongs so that we can, put them together and use them on Monday. If we don't get them completely together, we will finish them on Monday and then start working on processing the 4140 that I purchased. As the door is already saying, "Come on, baby, drop my fire." Yes. Yes, thank you, Tim, for allowing this forging. So, yes. Alright. Amazing. Let's hope Tim has a long life and keeps the forge burning for a while. Yes. Let's hope. And once this propane forge is complete, empty, I'm taking more sponsors. Otherwise, I'll just, I'll be the sponsor or my partner will be the sponsor. Although, if I'm the sponsor, I'm not going to put a sign on it, All right, let's do another heat. If I can decide where I want to pick this up at, I think that's a good place. That's definitely a good place to pick it up. Alright, let's see how long these reins are now. Do they match yet? Not quite. It's a little bit too short still. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to move on to the horn and do a little bit of work there. If your sponsor, or if you're the sponsor, add "this space is available" sign. I could do that. I mean, then it would remind people that I do take sponsorships, maybe. I don't really want to beg for money, though, so it's like, I want to thank people for the sponsorship that they are allowing your, giving me, but I also don't want to like beg for money. So it's kind of like a balance maybe. We'll see. I'll see if anybody had, or if I get any. I might put a sign there and see if I get any complaints, and then we'll see. There we go. Sorry, I want you guys to be able to see the top of the anvil. I was editing the other day, and or I was making shorts for the YouTube, and I realized that I have a bunch of shots from on, I think it was Wednesday, where you can see me in the white shot, but you can't see the anvil face. And I was talking about the anvil face as though you guys could see it. You couldn't. So I want to make sure that you guys can see that. It's subtle enough. I don't think it's considered begging, but each to their own. Yeah. Sign on a paper, mache dragon, asking for funds. Don't let my fire go out. Harry Cratchit's Discworld. I mean, if you guys think it's okay, I'll probably do it. But like I said, I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. Because I take sponsors from, or even people who don't have money. You guys are actually sponsoring me by watching ads. I do get money for the ads that everybody watches. Oh, a metal dragon forged in the forge. Yes. I think it's okay, but there may be a regional difference in the states. In some other stream, we concluded that to each their own is still okay in English. Yeah, I mean, I think it is. It's not anything, or I've never found it to be insulting to people or anything like that. I don't know. So we are getting a little bit, we're getting pretty high heat, which is pretty exciting. I thought that we'd be able to get almost as much heat as we were getting in the mailbox in the big forge, because we were getting a lot of heat when we were working on the hammer face, and we got a decent amount of work done every heat. So, and that's such a much bigger piece of steel. So I was hoping that we'd be able to get a good hot, smaller piece of stock by keeping the forge floor, like, I guess, filling half of it. In German, it has a not so nice ring to it, at least for some, thanks to the Nazis having used it on the edge. Oh, yeah, I did not know that. Bless their heart has some fun subcontext. Yes, definitely. That one can be, it's more of a context thing. You have to be careful with that one. It can be a little bit derogatory. How did the hammer turn out? I missed a couple of streams. So I have yet to grind this up, or grind it up. I mean, grind it so that it cleans up so it's usable. I also need to put a handle on it. I don't think I will have time this weekend, but I will definitely have time next weekend, and I will grind this and dress the hammer and handle it up. That way we can start using it. Not next week, but the week after. I just don't think I have enough time this weekend because I have another video that I have to produce. And it is quite a bit of effort dressing a hammer. Yeah, thank you so much, Dewey, for the 100 bits. Thank you so much. That also reminds me, I need to put my activity feed up. And unauthorized Nate, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the community. Yeah, bless your heart does kind of have a little bit of a negative connotation in some contexts. Not all. Some people are very genuine when they say that, and other people are a little bit like, oh, yeah, about it. So it's kind of, it's hard to read the inflection in text, I guess. As far as what handle I'm thinking, I really want to do a hickory handle, but I don't know that I have access to any good hickory stock right now. So I might have to go to the hardware store and buy just like a replacement handle and see if I can't modify it. And then maybe when we go to Quad State, if we can find a good handle material, I might be able to re-handle it. We'll see what happens and how well the replacement handle, because I've been trying to source a good hickory handle or a piece of hickory stock, and I just haven't been able to find one yet. So yes, it is hammer time, guys. It's hammer time. I'm gonna do another heat here in just a moment. This is the button I want to press, and then that is the button I want to press. Jump on a hickory stump and say, boy, let me tell you what. Let's handle and rehandle, or let's handle the rehandle. Yeah. All right. Alright, more heat, more heat. I like I like to stand on a soapbox. Yeah. Sometimes I stand on my soapbox. Sometimes, I step down off of my soapbox. It's kind of, I gotta read the room. So yesterday I posted a short on YouTube and I had a couple comments, and I'm not entirely sure the people who commented understood quite what I was trying to say. So the short was a clip where I was talking about how this particular hammer is not amazingly well balanced, right? And I was talking about how I really am hoping that this hammer turns out to be more balanced than this hammer. Welcome in, Yankee. And a lot of people were talking about how the reason that I have trouble using this side of this hammer is because, like, maybe, it won't bounce as much, or maybe I'm a little bit weak, or, something like that. Like, it's not the hammer's fault, and that it's my fault. And I wanted to tell you, or I wanted to kind of clarify a little bit. This guy is it's not as well balanced. And another person said that most of the cross-peen hammers just can't be balanced because there's not as much material on this side as this side. So I wanted to clarify that I'm not looking for a perfectly balanced hammer, just one that's a little bit more balanced than this hammer, right? So if we take a look at this hammer and we kind of compare the two, like so, you can kind of see that this hammer has more material on this back end, and that actually gives it a little bit more weight on this side, and it is a little bit more balanced. So this one is less balanced than this guy, even though they're not that far apart as far as weight. This one's like about a half a pound heavier than this guy because it does have more material. But this guy is more balanced than this guy is. And this guy, if I was strong enough to use it, because I am too weak to use this one, then it would actually function a lot better than this guy when using the cross peen. We got ads. Well, I can explain that again once the ads are done. So yeah, I was only trying to say that I want this hammer to be a little bit more balanced than this guy. Always remember, Mjolnir has a notably short handle and so was considered poorly made. And Bluesy has peens that work. Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of feel like the reason that I got those comments is maybe because they had only watched the short version of it, and taken out of context, maybe they didn't quite understand what I was trying to get at. So yeah, you can have a much more balanced cross-peen hammer than this one. Oh, I have peens that work. They are just peens, not hammers. I mean, there are totally hammers where it's like a cross peen on this side and a cross peen on that side. There is a big flat bit at the end. So are we talking like, so it would, instead of having this section, it would be just a cut off? Lizzie, is that what you're talking about? But yeah, I mean, I was really only talking about how this particular hammer isn't quite as balanced as some of my other hammers. So it does make it a little bit hard to use this cross peen, harder than it would if I were using a hammer that was like this guy. This guy has more material in the back end, and so therefore it's a little bit more balanced. It's heavy on both sides, but it's a little better balanced than this one. Peen, a hammer with a spherical head. Yeah, so this would be a peen, but this is a cross peen, right? So, and then this guy is a ball peen because it has a ball on the end. So a peen refers to the face of an anvil, and then when you add a descriptor, then it changes the shape of the hammer. We are talking about crossery hammers, a pin at one side and basically a coin at the other. Oh, okay, yeah. Ball peen hammer made famous for kneecapping loan sharks. Bodywork for cars. Okay, so like this one. This is a body hammer, so it's got a penny on the one side. It's got a this one is a pick at this back end. I also have ones that have a flat edge, more like a cross piece. So I have a set of 4 of these guys. These are really, really nice for doing sheet steel and sheet copper and silver and stuff. Yeah. All right, let's do another heat real fast. They are fantastic. That's what I use. I love them, man. I do. I'm very discriminatory on who I allow use them to. All right, I'm gonna check on the length again. And it looks like they're about even now. So that's good. So that means that now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take a look at this section right here. This is where I wanna put the rivet so that we can rivet these two guys together. So we're gonna flatten this out. Yeah, I only let people use my car body hammers when I am present to make sure that they don't screw them up, because not that the set that particular hammer came from, but I have a pristine set that's still in its case, and they have mirror polished faces, and if there's a single ding on them, I have to polish them. I'm really, really particular about that set. My mother threatened to kill any of us who used her fabric scissors to cut paper. Yes, I mean that's exactly the thing, right? Exactly the sentiment I have with those hammers. I also have some fabric cutting scissors, but I have the tendency to accidentally cut paper with my fabric scissors myself. So I really can't get upset about my fabric scissors. I just end up buying a new set every time I do a new sewing project. It's kind of silly. I do also buy the cheapest fabric scissors that I can get a hold of, because, like, you know, if I know that I'm gonna ruin them, then I might as well get the cheapest pair, right? Thank you so much, Nerd Rage LV, for following today. Welcome to the community. I hope you're having fun. Let me know if you have any questions about blacksmithing, about metalworking, or any general questions. I will try to answer most of them. I might, I do reserve the right to not answer personal questions, but you can always ask. But welcome, welcome. Welcome to the community. So, the worst part, we're going to start working on the worst part of tongs for me, right? So every time I make a new set of tongs, I always forget how to form the I like to call this the boss, the section where the rivet goes. Because every time I make a set, I have to make this little shelf here, and I always forget which direction this goes. So I gotta look really carefully and try and figure it out. So if I put this way, then I need it this direction. So what did I do? Personal question. Favorite Girl Scout cookie? My favorite Girl Scout cookie is the chessmen. Or maybe they're not chessmen. What are they? They're like letters or something? They're like a cookie that, it's like a shortbread cookie. I think that's what they are. The shortbread ones. Alright, so I have marked this guy. So hopefully I will remember which angle I need to go. Thin mints. My partner really loves thin mints, so we do end up getting a lot of thin mints over time, or we have gotten a lot of thin mints over time, but my favorite are shortbread, I think. Alright. Alright. So now, I know I need to make him, I need to put it like this. In order to match that angle, I need to put it like that. See if I can remember to do that. Would long shortbread cookies be an oxymoron? Tag-along is Mahalos. The peanut butter patties, those are good too. My mom used to buy those all the time. And then my dad loves the like caramel delights. Those are his favorite. The s'more cookies. I don't think that I ever had any of the s'more cookies. Alright, one more time. Can I remember this? This direction. Okay, so I want this section to go that direction for both sides of this. This section right here needs to be perpendicular with the side of my anvil. Let's do this. Let's try it. We'll see. We'll see if I can remember. Oh, it's not centered. Let me make sure that's nice and centered. Excuse my pan. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. Gotta be centered in the frame. Oh, shoot. I did this backwards. Alright, we're gonna do this like this. And then we are gonna do this. Alright, so we've got a shelf that's now forming, and I'm going to look at this guy, and look, it's the same angle. That's exciting. Alright, cool. I'm going to get more heat on this guy because I put this in the forge backwards. Do I need to do something with the camera? Restart the recording. I do. Hire a camera guy named Peter, so Peter pans. That would be really funny. Oh, okay. When I moved the camera to center the face of the anvil, I apparently flipped my camera. Did I not do? I don't think I did that one, though. Some days, guys. Some days. Alright, I think I'm good to go now. Peter Pan. I mean, I think that would be kind of funny. It's kind of like when you have a name that is kind of apt for your job title, you know? And I do kind of think that it's funny that Alex Steele is named Alex Steele because he's a blacksmith, and so his last name is Steele, and, you know, he works with steel. I'm sure he gets that all the time. I can imagine how annoying that question might get, though. Yeah. So, let's see. I'm hoping that I can get all of this stuff nice and taken care of today, because if I can get all of the bosses, or like both of the bosses, ready to drill, I actually have a brand new drill press that we get to play with. So we will be turning the camera completely around to the back side of my shop where the drill press is, and then you'll also be able to see my truck and my van. Because I got a new van, and we're going to turn it into a camper van. Got to start ordering the parts here so that they'll start coming in. We have a gift card or gift certificate to Wayfair, which is a furniture buying website. So I think we're going to start there and see what we can get for the amount of the gift card. I think it would be cool to see if we can get like a bed, or maybe like a chair or a couch that would fit in the van. Camper van with a built-in forge. Is Con a name? So Con Zoom. I mean, I used to know a guy who used Con as an abbreviation for his gamer tag. So I used to call this guy Con, but I don't know that Con by itself is a name, unless maybe it's like a nickname for like Conrad or something. I don't know. Con Air. Can you make a steam-powered camper van, then use the heat from the boiler to forge? I don't know. I think we'd have to ask Dark if we can do that, because, you know, Dark is an expert on trains, and I'm definitely not a expert on trains and boiler engines. Hey, at least I did not say airplane. Con is a name. Yeah, you're right. Con with a K-H? K-A-H-N? Con? Like, although I thought that was more of a title than a name. So I don't, maybe it's a name and a title. I don't know. You can, but you would be better with a wood-powered one. I mean, maybe. I know that they make teeny tiny little wood stoves that you can put in camper vans. A lot of people heat them with them. So a lot of people in North America, when they get a camper van, they'll take it up to like Canada and like Alaska and stuff. And instead of using a diesel heater or like an electric heater, they'll actually use a little wood stove. So they'll take firewood and kind of put it in the wood stove. They make them like this big. They're teeny. I think it would be kind of cool, but I don't think I want to put a hole in the roof of the van just yet, you know? My water is empty, so I'm going to grab some more. I'm back here getting water. I'm honestly a little surprised how much water that I've already drank. Like I said, it's only in the 80s. It's not like it's in the 90s. Part of it, though, is that I drink a lot because I talk a lot. If I didn't yap so much, maybe I wouldn't have to drink as much water. You can run your petrol-powered car on wood gas. Yeah, I think you can. My brief Google search, which makes me an expert, says if you can get it registered and insured, steam-powered cars are not illegal. Maybe. The wood-powered stove would heat my camper van. Do they heat pump or AC combo units now for RVs? They have both. There's a variety of different ACs that you can get in a camper van. We're kind of looking at doing like a large battery and then doing an electric one. Because in the future, we want to add some solar to the top of our camper van so that it will recharge the batteries when we're not driving it. The alternator should charge the battery pack while we are driving. But I mean, there are going to be days where we're just sitting in a parking spot or at a campsite, so we won't be able to be driving as much. So we'll need the solar so that we can charge the battery pack. They are not illegal, but they're a bit heavy on fuel consumption. I think that it would be hard to get wood or fit wood in the vehicle and passengers. But you think of Flex driving down the road with a steam car. I don't know. I think it would be very warm to use a steam powered car or a wood powered car. Alright, I'm going to do another heat. We're going to keep on keeping on making that boss. Alright, so we've got a real nice section there. You can definitely tell that we have changed the direction of that steel. Alright, so this section here is a little bit fat, and I also want to draw this down a little bit further. So we're going to work a little bit on this section here, and then we'll flip it over and start drawing out the rain just a little bit again. Small adjustments. I doubt you would get a steam car approved in Europe, and I do not want to get into an accident with that thing. See, the problem with steam in a lot of configurations is that when you have steam under pressure and you would get into or if you get into an accident or like your weld or, your weld buckles, then when steam comes out at high pressure, it can be deadly. So it's kind of, and I mean, gasoline cars can be deadly as well. It's kind of like, what kind of risk are you willing to take? Imagine the steam-powered car getting into an accident and the boiler going off like that Mythbusters episode. Yeah, there was that locomotive at a steam engine show in the early 2000s that blew up due to a lack of maintenance, and they killed a few people. There are dangers. Yeah, there definitely are. My dad used to be in the plumbers and pipe fitters union, and basically their job is to like fit buildings with pipes and things, and so they did a lot of like pipe welding and stuff, and they had to be really, really careful when it came to the welded joints. They had to make sure that they were strong enough to take the pressure of whatever was inside those pipes. So for steam, you'd have to like x-ray the welds and stuff and make sure that there's no weak spots. So you got to be really, really careful with that stuff. Ooh. I think I need to take a break and breathe because I'm doing that thing again where I'm just talking and talking and talking and not taking a step back to breathe. Also, if the pressure in the boiler suddenly drops due to a leak, suddenly much more steam is generated, so the thing blows up like a bomb. I cannot explain the thermodynamics better, but there are a lot of energy released very suddenly. Exactly. You have to be super careful with the maintenance on any sort of steam under pressure. Also, water under pressure can do it can do a lot of damage. I mean, there's a reason that that we use water jets to cut things. You know, there's water jet plate steel that they cut it with water jet. You know, so water under pressure is no joke. P equals TV, I think. Pressure equals test volume. Yeah. The cooler something is, the less pressure it's under. But the hotter it is, the more pressure it's under. Alright. I'm going to do another heat, guys. Many sciences. Honestly, guys, though, science is one of my favorite things. All right, we're going to turn this around and start working a little bit on this rain area. Then we're going to toss the other piece of stock inside, and we're going to kind of match the two. It is more complicated than that. It always is, just generalizing. There's a lot of pressure energy released when I let out after holding it for more than 5 minutes. I suppose. Welcome to the stream, Dubs. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having fun. We are getting a little scientific today. So I am actually planning on doing a blacksmithing setup for the van. I'd love to do like a whole video, like a short video for a miniature blacksmith setup that we can actually put in the van. So it is one of like 2 or 3 planned videos that I have specifically about the van and stuff in the van, I guess. And so I'm thinking about using the mailbox and then maybe my little jeweler's anvil and coming up with a good solution for like a hammer and maybe like a couple sets of tongs or something. I kind of haven't completely decided what I want to do. There's also the opportunity to make a Viking anvil, which is a block of steel with a tiny horn and a spike on the end that you hammer into a stump. And that's a very good temporary anvil. So you can use it for quite a while, and then you just break open the log and retrieve your anvil, and then you can move on. That danger is more of the chemical than physical nature. Yeah. So we do have an ad here incoming. So once that ad is done, I'll probably do another heat on our tong half. Hopefully we only need 1 or 2 more heats-ish on this half, and then we'll start working on the other half, straightening that out, finessing it, working on that boss section, getting it ready so that we can drill out those holes and rivet them together. Alright, I am gonna check my clips. I know it hasn't been all that long, but still. Alrighty. There we go. Oh my god, it's a woman! That it is. I think or someone tried to make a solar-powered forge with a Frenzel lens or something mounted on a truck. I don't think I've seen that. So I'm not sure who's in ads and who's not in ads right now. Let me know if I need to repeat anything. But yeah, I'm a lady. And I like to do very manly things. Although I really don't think that blacksmithing is a manly activity. I think it's an everybody activity. I've seen plenty of female blacksmiths out there, and they do some amazing work. So one of the years that I went to the Memphis Metals Museum for their spring forging conference, there was a lady blacksmith who was the apprentice those 2 years, and she was amazing. She was a great blacksmith. She was in her first year when I went, and it was pretty cool. Back from ads. So I haven't actually seen any solar-powered forges. So if you've got a link to that, Maxon, you should totally post it in the Discord so I can take a look. That would be interesting to look at. I think it would be difficult to control it because you'd constantly be having to move the lenses around to get the maximum amount of heat. But it would be interesting to see the design. Did she agree to make a solar-powered forge in the van build? I didn't have a van back then. All right, we are going to do another heat real fast. If I can think. I think I'm thinking about like 3 different things right now, and so I'm a little tiny bit distracted. All right. So how long is this in comparison to some of my other sets of tongs? It's a little bit on the short side. So maybe we'll do a little bit of extra. We'll give this section right here a little bit of extra love just because I want to give myself a decent amount of space between the piece of steel and my hands for these particular tongs. Because they are actually designed to handle larger pieces of stock. And larger pieces of stock have a tendency to generate a lot more ambient heat than some of the smaller pieces. So choking back on the reins of the tongs is always better. It's a bit big. Let's see. Let's take a look at this. industrial solar furnace to melt steel without fuel or electricity. Interesting. Huh. I will check that out. Definitely check that out. And then Maxon has a video. I will definitely have to check that one out too. Not really forging, but the concept is the same. Well, I mean, you could probably use a similar concept to heat molten metal than you could just heat it just before molten. I mean, it's logical. So I know that so Carnival Cruise Line was really interested in bringing glass blowing onto their ships as one of the activities that passengers could do or watch. And so they contacted a glass artist from the United States, and the company, it gave the artist a bunch of money to kind of design a way to put glass heating furnaces and the glory hole and all of the accoutrements that are necessary for glass blowing. And it had to be all electric because they just don't have the ability to carry enough like natural gas or propane in order to accommodate a glass shop. And so it took a few years, but he was able to design induction forges, or I guess kilns, and that would work specifically for glass. And so I kind of feel like a similar, I feel like it's a similar concept to the induction forges that we now have. They are a lot smaller than the induction glass kilns that we have seen, but you know, you have to be really careful with glass though, because if it cools down, it will break the kiln that it's in when it solidifies from its liquid form. It seems dangerous to do on a moving ship. I mean, it is, but they were actually able to get it to the point where they could put it on board a ship, and they were doing it for several years. But I do think that they probably would be shutting it down when it got more choppy, and because I mean, a large ship isn't going to jostle as much as a smaller ship, but there are still stormy times when even a cruise ship or like even a carrier are going to be jostling. So I think you'd have to be careful on when you used it, but they were doing it for a while. Can you just electrolyze the water or whatever it's called and extract the hydrogen and burn it? That would be also rather dangerous. Hi, Mothman. Welcome back. Imagine the liability. Can they build a whole room on a gimbal so it doesn't shake? I mean, maybe. It was several years back that I had read this article. I'll see if I can't find an article about it and post it on the Discord if I remember. But I thought it was really, really interesting. It's been quite a while, but I think I read the article when I was in glass class. This is actually used in small quantities for jewelry and opticians. Optometrists, maybe? I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna do another heat. as I drop things. Always my favorite. Alright. So I think we're definitely at a point where I think I can put the opposite side in the forge. And then we will take a look at it, see what we can do to make these two the same. So this one started out as the shorter of the two, and now it's the longer of the two. Funny how that works. The people making and repairing pairs of glasses. What is the right word? I think optometrist, but I don't know if that's the doctor or if that's the person that makes the glasses, because I don't think those have to be the same person. So I could be completely off base on the whole, is it an yeah, I definitely don't know. Alright, where am I gonna put this? I have a whole bunch of random crap all over my normal cooling area. I think I'm just gonna put that there. This I need to move. Something is burning. What is burning? Uh-oh. So, maybe you guys remember on Monday, I had to light the forge with a paper towel. Apparently, a piece of that paper towel ended up on my cooling area, and I put the half of the tong on it, and so that's what was burning. The answer is most likely no, but it never hurts to ask. Is there a blacksmith equivalent of a Prince Rupert's drop? The technique that causes it enough tension that it shatters. Not that I'm aware of. Like, I feel like a Prince Rupert. Okay, so a Prince Rupert drop is formed by gathering up a bunch of glass and just allowing it to fall into, or like gathering up on a punty rod a large amount of glass and then just allowing it to drop and allowing that a tear shape with a long tail to form. So it's kind of like if a raindrop had a tear or like a trail, I guess. And the idea behind them is that if you break that tail, the entire drop will shatter. And as far as I'm aware, there isn't anything that works in the same physics way. There are ways that you can shatter like tool steels that have been hardened, but it is not the same principle in physics that causes the shattering. The devices are sometimes called hydrazon over here. They produce small, very pointy, and extremely hot hydrogen flames, but can be used to hard solder titanium and such. Yeah. So those are hydrogen torches. That's what we just call them in the jewelry industry here in the United States. You just buy a hydrogen torch, and yeah, it is a pinpoint flame, and you can use it to solder very quickly. A lot of people will use that. They're almost like a welding torch in a way. There are people that will use them to do permanent jewelry. Most of the time, though, it's like a micro welder that they use for that, though. But you could. I think optometrist is a different job. I mean, it might be, or like it probably is a different job, you know? because like I know that I had a friend who used to make people's glasses or like put them together. So she took the glasses and then took the lenses and like she didn't assign like the prescriptions or anything, but she like set the equipment, casted them, and like put them all together. And she was not an optometrist, so I don't know what she was called. My chemistry teacher used a hydrogen flame to warn us about the dangers in the lab since the flame is near invisible. Yeah, it is super, super hot and clear. The hotter a flame is, the more transparent it is, so it makes it a lot harder to see. So I get. So if I start this fire, the torch, a lot of people would tell me that the hottest part of the flame is like right around there, where the inner cone is, but it's actually more like here. This is definitely not the hottest part of the flame. It's like around here. So it's kind of because there's like that inner cone and there's a little bit of space in between the top of that inner cone and the hottest part of that flame. So it's a little bit transparent in that area. So the sun isn't dangerous. Got it. I mean, it is. But I'm not sure, but the proper English word here, at least optiker, is a classic apprentice profession. They can also do the optometrist job, but they just implemented the ophthalmologist's prescription. Mainly, it is a craftsman job to manufacture and repair the glasses. I mean, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Mega Sweet Smiles, thank you so much for that follow. 5 minutes ago. Thank you so much. Welcome to the community. Alrighty. I'm going to do our first heat on this side. We're going to try and get that nice angle right there from the, for the rivet section. But first I'm going to check my cameras and make sure that I flip the clips so that they're nice and fresh. Gotta keep them fresh. Makes it easier to put them into the hard drive. The hydrozone devices add some colorant to the produced hydrogen to color the flame so it is visible. You can also see it pretty well when you're in a darkened room. Alright. So I want this to be just like so, and I want it to be about here. Ow. That's my favorite. So we've got a nice line there. So I'm going to take a look. It's a little bit off from where the other one was, but I think it'll be all right. We're going to heat this back up. So there was a piece of, that's always fun. So a piece of scale flew off of the piece of steel and hit me right here underneath of my safety glasses. So that is always why you want to use safety glasses when you're doing this, because if I didn't have those on and it was just a little bit up, it would have gone straight into my eye, and that would have cost a lot of time to get that removed. The usual workshop is not darkened. That's right. Yeah, definitely. You do not wear these safety goggles for fun. That's true. I mean, I learned a long time ago that, wear the safety glasses. Even when you don't think that you need them, you still do. When I was in college, I was in the jeweler studio, like the silversmithing studio, and I was doing some cutting with a jeweler saw. And I broke my jeweler saw, and I never used safety glasses when I was using a jeweler saw when I was in school until that day where I broke my jeweler saw, and a piece of that saw blade ended up hitting me in the cheek. And it almost ended up in my eye, and so that kind of scared me straight. And ever since, anytime I walk into a shop, safety glasses go on. You never know. Safety glasses, hearing protection, and when it's appropriate, mask, breathing protection. You only have one set of lungs and one set of eyes and one set of ears. Eyes are delicate and precious. They definitely are. And I like my eyes, I'm already partially night blind. I don't want to mess too much further, All right, so we are going to spend a little bit of time working again on the jaws of this set of tongs. Just like we did previously, we're going to kind of make them into a rectangle so that they're a little bit stronger than the previous set of tongs that I had, so that we can get a good solid grip on the piece of stock that we're going to be using for our axe head, which is this guy right here. And any other hammers that we also want to make. We definitely don't want to do any flippy somersaults in the tongs anymore. All right, let's do another heat. Little bit of twisting going on, which is why I came over to the tail end of the anvil to kind of fix that up just a little bit. The beauty of an anvil that is this shape is that every surface is a usable shape. Every surface is a usable anvil. One more heat on this because it's a little bit fatter than I want it to be right here. Then we'll flip it over and start working on the reins again. I think we're making pretty good time on these guys. We're going to be able to take them over to the quench bucket, quench them off, and then take them over to the drill press. From there, we're going to start working on making a rivet. So I'll have to cut a new piece of stock for that so that we can make a rivet. Gotta figure out what stock I want to use. I'm not entirely sure. I know I should have been prepared to put the rivet in, but I just had a few other things that I wanted to do today. Like I said, I bought a new propane with the funds that Tim donated to us. And I also, like I said, I went to the steel supply, and I think it was metals.com or metalsupply.com, and there was a local branch, so I was able to actually drive there and pick up the steel and get it today. So they were really, really nice there. Claim they can beat my other steel supplies prices. I'm a little bit on the skeptical side of that, because usually steel is based on commodity pricing. So one day you'll buy steel for a specific price, and then a week later it'll be a completely different price per pound, just because steel is a commodity and the price fluctuates very, very widely sometimes. One more heat. Give me one more heat. What is my NPC line? Hi, Jet Pinky. Welcome in. Do I have an NPC line? I don't know. I think one more heat might be my NPC line. You know, if you like click me. I forgot that I had claimed that I am an NPC on my like channel bio. I need to update that. I did actually write that while I was still planning on doing some gaming, and we don't game here anymore. We just do blacksmithing. I mean, I do game on my own, but that's my own time. So I don't know. What would be my NPC line? I mean, I do feel like one more heat would be a really good contender. I say that a lot. I am done with my second water, so I'm going to go and grab a third water real fast. Maybe I'd be an NPC like the Baldur's Gate NPCs. If you click their portraits, like Shadowheart and Asterion and all of the Baldur's Gate characters, they'll actually tell you to not to poke them anymore. And Minthara even tells you she'll kill you if you poke her again. So I don't know. Maybe that's the kind of NPC I am. Alright, so it looks like ads are going to start up here pretty soon. So I will do my next heat once the ads are complete. That way everybody gets a chance to see the pretty fire and hot metal. You are a non-polite character. I might be, I don't know. I kind of feel like I am pretty polite for the most part. But I don't like getting poked. You guys will have to tell me if I'm a polite character or not. Oh, I know what that is. Like, there's a little piece of wood on the floor over there, and I'm like, where did that come from? It's from when I took the handle off of the hammer eye punch. It's this little piece of wood right here. Alright, so like I said, we are in ad time. Ad time and space. Ad time doesn't exist, right? Have you seen the blacksmith in Stardew? I have not seen the blacksmith in Stardew because I have not played Stardew. I am more of an MMO gamer overall. And I mean, the game that I'm currently playing is World of Warcraft. And so if I am a human blacksmith in World of Warcraft, then my NPC tagline would be well met. But I'll repeat all that once the ad is over. Mothman says, I have really bad internet today, so it keeps repeating the last 2 seconds. So I heard my NPC line would be one more heat, one more heat, one more heat, one more heat would be a good contender. It was like I was spamming buttons in the combo with you. I mean, that does sound like an appropriate, an appropriate conversation. So I have not actually played Stardew Valley as a game. Normally, I am more of an MMO player. I did play Baldur's Gate 3, but the reason I played Baldur's Gate 3 is because it's similar enough to an MMO, and I did actually play it with my MMO friends. So I am not familiar with a blacksmith from Stardew Valley. The game that I am currently playing is World of Warcraft. And if I am a human blacksmith in World of Warcraft, then my NPC line would be well met. But I play elves all the time. So I think my line, if I was an elf, would be like, Shafala. Alright, I'm gonna do another heat. Alright. Should be good there. Ah, too much. Too much bend. I'll have to grab the other side so I can make sure that that bend stays the way I want it to. Alright, so I'm going to flip this over and we're going to start working on this guy right here. We can make a little bit of extra length on those reins by drawing that down right there. A water mage would be well met. Get it? Water mage, well? Yes, I do. So in WoW, they don't really have water mages. They just have ice mages. I do really love playing sorcerers and wizards in Baldur's Gate, and one of my favorite spells is create water. So then I can just splash enemies and then use a whole bunch of lightning spells, and it does a lot more damage when they're wet. Oh dear, and I thought my Ray's Zumi joke was bad. Mages had the best strudels. They do. They do have the best mage strudels. Mana cakes. I think the current little icon for the like a honey bun cinnamon roll. So, you know, lots and lots of honey buns. I have always thought, though, that, like, mages, when they make, like, mana cakes and things like that, they must get the mana from, like, the sugar, you know? Then my heyday in World of Warcraft was during Lich King, and there was mana tea. And I always thought that was really funny because it was tea that was mana tea, but it was also like mana tea as in like the animal. It was fun when my raid team wasn't paying that close attention to what I was talking about, and they were like, "Why are you talking about a manatee?" We are not in a water dungeon. I used to main a druid for a while. I got burned out in Watlock on Arthas 25-man hard mode and quit as soon as Cata released. See, I played from the late Burning Crusade through Pandaria pretty regularly. And then I stopped at Pandaria, and then I went back for Shadowlands first tier, and then I left again, and now I'm back for, War Within. It was just completely lost. Not sure if due to lack of English or lack of WoW. Yeah, WoW is kind of a little bit insider baseball, so we'll talk more about something else. Watlock, the WOTLK, stands for Wrath of the Lich King. We are in Polynesia rather than Scandinavia. Tonga versus Molnir. Interesting. Of course, what else? Let's see, what else can we talk about? I mean, this is a blacksmithing channel, so maybe we should talk about some blacksmithing. So like I said, our next projects are going to be axe head related. I really want to make an axe because I promised way back when I first started on this channel in, I think it was December, that I would make an axe for you guys this summer. And the summer is almost over, and I haven't gotten to it yet. So I definitely need to get moving, get my rear end in gear, and make the axe that I promised. Did I miss one? Like 15 years ago, I listened to some people discussing about WoW. It was in German. I still didn't understand a word. Just got a solid block of steel and grind it down into an axe shape. No forging needed. And you got a drill press, so you can just drill out the eye. I mean, what kind of fun would that be? This is a blacksmithing channel, not a fabrication channel. Are blacksmiths more likely to vacation in colder locations or warmer vacations because they are used to the heat? I suspect they don't mind either. So I prefer warmer locations personally, just because I am used to the heat, and there's nothing like the heat in here. So even in 100-degree weather, in like Florida or Texas, it's not that bad. And then, I also enjoy like beaches and stuff. So that's where I like to vacation, but I mean, to each their own. I'm sure there are plenty of other blacksmiths who choose to go to cooler locations. You could just 3D print it, but there is fun in that. Hawaii has an active volcano I can visit. It has beaches too, I guess. See, I really feel like Hawaii is definitely a place that could be on a vacation list because, like I said a couple days ago, I do actually have family in Hawaii, so it could be a little bit cheaper because we'd be able to stay with family. But, you know, a plane ticket from the Midwest of the United States to Hawaii is not cheap. So it's kind of, you know, saving up the pennies, you know? Lately, we've been doing a lot of blacksmithing vacations to, you know, blacksmithing conferences and stuff. And beaches in Hawaii are often black sand. I guess a blacksmith's partner better does not put on weight because they are used to just hit things with a hammer if they do not like the shape yet. That would not be pleasant. Yeah, I don't think I would do that. That would be mean. Plus, I would have to heat up my partner first. And I don't think that my partner would survive being heated up to a point where I could hammer into the shape I wanted. So I think that I would rather not. Alrighty. I'm going to do another heat. We're going to work on these rays. Woohoo! Lots of scale this time. More heat, more heat. What in the world happened to you? I mentioned I was a little bit stiff, so Rhea kneeled me. Ray's partner is fairly hot, but she likes the current shape already. Yep, I like my partner the way they are. That's fun. So I had this piece of steel and this piece of steel sitting on my table over there in this orientation, and I was like, hey, it kind of looks like a hammer. Ah, you know, maybe I should just grind this into the hand or the handle. It would be a really, really heavy handle. But it's kind of interesting to see what it might look like, you know? Just like so. Rubber coat it and call it good. Definitely. I think that hammer would be way too hard for me to use. And I am planning on using that hammer for a future project. So we shall see, you know, what we can do with it. Also, that's the steel that I plan to use for another project. So I'd have to buy more. Hot glue. Rubber hammer, always useful. So I've got this guy. This is a favorite hammer of mine. I don't use this for hot work. I only use it for cold work, but this is a rubber-coated dead blow hammer. I also have a rubber hammer over there that I don't keep in my hammer rack. Rubber hammers are very, very useful. I also love rawhide mallets. These are really good for hot work, even though they do smell like burning hair, because this is actually rawhide, you know, like your dog chews on, you know, like for chew toys. Um, but these are really great for making things straight without marring them or forging them. They make exoskeleton things you can use to let your hammer harder. Yeah. Then I'd be like an alien, you know, like the robot. That might be fun. I used to work at Amazon for 4 whole days, and I was in the outgoing packages, so I would pick things, and so they let me ride on this forklift. And when I told my partner that was my job, my partner kind of thought that it was more like an exosuit, and that it would just like allow me to pick things up, you know, similar to an alien. But no, not so much. It was just more like a forklift. Dalek Ray. Rawhide. Careful like rubber hammer, but not smothered by heat. Yep. Those battle suits from Matrix 3, yeah. Just like that. Except it wasn't, it was just a forklift. The forklift, like the little, it was one of the forklifts that lifts both the person and the forks at the same time. So, it was a picker, I guess, is what they called them. We're gonna do another heat. So a scissor lift with forks, kinda similar, but not exactly. It's a moving. All right, let's compare this with these. It's still a little bit shorter than I want it to be, but it'll be all right. I am going to flip this around and kind of work this area right here. There's a little bit of slop going on, and I definitely want to take a look at that and make sure that it's nice and crisp. So yeah, I mean, it functioned just like a forklift, but the little driver's seat out lifted as well. And then there was forks on the other end. What your partner imagined was a Wayland Utini power lifter, not the same as a forklift. Probably. But it's a lot more fun to imagine me, a small lady like me, in like an exosuit than on a forklift, you know? Alien! Alien! I need to flip my flips. It's been about 30 minutes since the last time I did it. So it's definitely about time. And it looks like we have been forging for about 2 hours. So we've got about 30 minutes left. So I don't know that we'll actually get to the point where we get to making the rivet. So I might pre-make the rivet and do the holes before next week. I'll see what I can do. Because we still have 30 minutes in our schedule. So we might get to that point. I haven't decided what we're going to do yet. We shall see. I definitely want to get to the point where we are working on processing the axe steel. So we'll see what I can do. Alright, another heat. It helps when you press the button all the way down. Button pressing. Oh no. Stay. Alright, so we've got a pretty good finesse going on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this right here, and then I'm going to grab the other hat. We're going to take a look. You know what I did, guys? You know what I did? Wait, no, I did it right. I did it right. Oh my goodness. I'm so proud of myself. So proud of myself. Although I don't know that I have a right to be proud of myself because I made one side a little bit weird. You can kind of see where I have right here is a lot more forward than right there. Can I do something to fix that? I don't know. We'll see. Let's turn this over like so and see if we can't. Whoa. We can't drop things because that's a good thing to do. Let's see if we can't figure things out. Needs to be up like so. I think I can probably manage it. I think I can probably manage it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I think that I'm actually going to quench these off and we're going to start working on drilling the holes for these guys so that we can put the rivets in. Or maybe we'll make the rivets. So these are relatively close. There's a little bit of an error there that I kind of screwed up. And I'll take a look at that in a bit. But I think we're going to do a rivet. Instagram, YouTube, and Instagram again. Instagram twice as important. Honestly, I don't. I thought that I had Instagram, YouTube, and then I thought I had KoFi on there, but maybe I don't. I'll take a look at it. It's been a really long time since I've updated Nightbot. I have to figure out how to do it. Riveting. Yes, riveting. All right. Here's a piece of steel that I could probably use for a rivet. Or I could find another piece. There's that piece. It says Facebook, but the link is Instagram. Oh, whoops. Yeah, I must have screwed that up a long time ago. I think you guys are the first people to like notice that though, you know? What size hole do I want to do? I think this is a pretty good size. So we're gonna turn this, or we're gonna turn this into this size, I think. But this is long enough that I think that I'm gonna need this guy. It's been a while since we've used this guy. This is what I use as a tool rest. Or I guess a stock rest for my pieces of steel. So we put this on this direction. And then this is a giant piece of A1, and we're going to stick it on just like so. That way, we can do this. Well, I guess I will definitely have to take a look at Nightbot and make sure that it is pumping out the right links. I don't know if like the exclamation point socials will actually put out the right socials. They might, I don't know. Let me look. Is that a thing I can do? Did I actually update that? Maybe I didn't. I have a bunch of thingies, or commands, but I don't use them very often. Apparently, I don't have that one set up. I thought I did. Maybe I have the Discord. Do I? Huh. Why that one? You guys can join my Discord. So it looks like there is an ad starting up. I also... What is going on there? There's a lot of fire coming out of there. I wonder... I don't know if that's been doing that all day or not. There's a bunch of randomness on that piece of steel, so it might be burning something off of it. But I used that guy to mix up some, I think it was a refractory one time. That's what's on the end of it. I am now a Discordian and worshiper of Eris. Eris. I don't know what Eris has anything to do with Discord. But you guys are welcome to inform me. I like learning things. ad's up right now, so hopefully my steel will be hot enough after the ad so that I'll be able to start working on this rivet. Rivet, rivet. But I am going to check my clips. Checking clips. Super important. Seems like it's doing all right. The flames on the top of the forge definitely got there after putting the in the piece. Is that okay? Yeah, there's just some weirdness on that particular piece of steel. It should be fine. In theory, it's not producing any noxious gas or anything like that. It's just burning off some stuff. So, see? Nothing too bad. And it went away. I need to change gloves, though. Because I put on the wrong one. I put on the right, I need the left. Alright. I want this a little bit longer than I started with. You know what? I totally didn't do that. I didn't change the thingies. I'm a smart lady sometimes. I think I'm probably going to end up redoing this at some point, too. That's too short. I'll bring it back some more for the next heat. I think it's more the angle part is in the forge is at the, or affecting the gas flow. I was rather afraid the flames were coming out where they shouldn't. Honestly, it's not too bad. I mean, normally the flame will vortex for a while and it will actually shoot up. The reason I have the bricks there is to kind of keep it in a little bit, but it will always come out just a bit. Like I said, there's some weirdness that's sitting on there, and as we start forging, it will burn off and it'll be fine. It won't do that anymore. Eris, Greek goddess of chaos and sower of discord, but more importantly, in the meta religion of Discordian, she is the one who rolled the apple of discord to the three most beautiful goddesses. Oh, okay. Okay. So like I said, I actually used that particular piece of stock to stir some investment. And what I mean by investment is it is a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio of 3 different things. So one is plaster, one is sand, and one is water. So you take a bucket of sand, a bucket of plaster, and a bucket of water, and you pour it into the same container, and that is how you make investment for casting. It will survive the heat of molten metal. Up to bronze temperatures, it will not survive iron. You kind of have to use resin bonded sand or green sand for iron casting, or you can also use a ceramic shell for your casting to hold iron. actually know quite a bit about casting. That's what I went to college for. Number 3. Water number 3. Alright. I'm going to do another heat, and then I'm going to grab a Gatorade from the fridge. I'm in Hollywood. We do casting different out here. So can you pick all the people for a movie? I mean, I usually need help picking people for my movies. You know, a whole team. Now, let me take a look at the drill bit I was using as a guide. That should be good. It's a little bit too short, though, I think. I think we're going to need to pull that back a little bit more. But yeah, I prefer casting my, fishing lines as opposed to casting plays and movies and things. I have lost wax before. I heard people say that others should stay out of casting if they can't stand the heat. Yes. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. But yes, I actually have done lost wax casting quite a bit. I actually have bricks of microcrystalline wax that's used for casting in the cold shop. I'm not going to bring them out here because they'll start melting anywhere near the forge. But I do. I have like bricks like yay big. And I also have pieces that I have cast in wax that are only waiting to be cast in metal. But yeah, I really love doing lost wax casting. I could do some more. I just got a new kiln. How many shops do you have? This one, the wood shop, and the cold shop. Is it a static cast, a dynamic cast, or a reinterpret cast? I don't know. I guess technically I have 3 shops, but my cold shop and the hot shop are attached. So this is the hot shop, and then this is the cold shop. So in here, I have all of my jewelry. I do also do a little bit of soldering in here. I do a lot of bending. I have stakes for doing sheet metal. So cold shop. Eventually, I want to put all my grinding stuff in here too. And then in my basement, I have an area where I am starting to set up a wood shop. It has all of my wood tools. Because I have trouble when I do the woodworking in here, because then I have to sweep a lot because of all of the sawdust and everything, and I can't have that set on fire. The cold shop is a large cupboard. It is. I think by now we iterated all possible casting puns. I think we did. We can go into acting jokes and break a leg, but then we can get a cast for that. You're right. You're right. That one was missing. But I mean, that's also kind of an acting pun, because break a leg is what you say to an actor who's going on stage. Alright, I will be right back. I'm gonna grab a Gatorade. I need to refill the Gatorades. I think there's only one left. Oh, nope. My partner must have filled it. My partner has been drinking Gatorades too lately. Alright. Gatorade. 3 waters, a Gatorade, and then more water. It's a TARDIS, bigger on the inside. Well, I mean, it's not amazingly like a TARDIS because if I were to take you outside, there's definitely clearly a second shop attached to this one. But yeah, it's kind of like Narnia a little bit. My apartment is so small, I have to step outside to change my mind. I have a pretty big shop. It's a pretty nice shop. I've seen bigger shops, but for the amount of equipment that I have, it's a pretty good size. Alright, I'm going to do another heat. Like I said, I need to pull this back a little bit further, so I think we're going to go about here. There we go. That's better. I'll be able to cut that off if it ends up too long if I need to. I think the next thing that I really need to do is drill those holes because that way I can kind of size this rivet with the holes. So I'm going to put this down here. This is my quench bucket. A wardrobe with fur coats to protect from the relative cold. Step 1, rent out your shop as a co-working space. Step 3, profit. You mean we can't be parasocial already? I mean, you know. I kind of feel like, you know, there is a certain level of parasocial that is welcome here, and a certain level that's kind of like, you know, maybe we be a little careful. All right, I'm actually going to turn off the forge for the moment. Well, not for the moment. We're going to, because the next thing that we need to do is drill these holes. Sorry, give me a second. Goodness. Okay. My tongs are over here. They're probably still warm. Not too bad. That one's good. All right, cool. This is true for all startups. Step 1, do X. Step 3, profit. The difficult part is step 2. It always is. I was hoping to skip that part. Just wanted the profit. Parasocial blacksmithy. I don't have one. You do. That'll do. I'll be back. Need to pay rent. Yeah. All right. So that's gonna go over there. These are gonna come over here, and I'm gonna take a look at them. Now that they're cold, I'm gonna kind of try and figure out the best orientation for them. Oh, they have a lot of like, there's scale all over, and since they're wet, let me take care of that. Funny, funny. All right. All right. So we're definitely going to have to do a little bit of finessing with these because they are wanting to sit really wide. So we're going to have to bend them so that they'll close a little bit easier, and so that the reins will close. I think they'll be all right though. I think we're gonna need to do a little bit of grinding on them with the angle grinder. So that's probably the next thing that we need to get done. Blacksmith, someone who knows the difference between hot iron and cold iron. Also see blisters. If you just forge bigger things, you won't have to adjust them. That's true. That's definitely true. Renee A77, thank you so much for that follow. I greatly appreciate that. So I'm gonna grab my angle grinder real fast. We're gonna do a little bit of cold work on these guys. I'm not a big fan of doing cold work on stream, but that's definitely the next thing that we need to do. So this is my angle grinder. It's definitely the first thing that I will recommend a new blacksmith or fabricator get as like your first, tool, because these are so multi-purposely useful. Come on. I have a cutting disc on it, and I need to put a grinding disc on it. Put that over there. Stick that there. And you can go there. My grinder discs are here in the cold shop. So you can put this on here. What'd I do with the... Oh, it's right there. I find it somewhat scary that the forge is still glowing. It will glow for quite some time. It does take a while to cool down. And it is something that I monitor after every stream for a while. But yeah, the reason that it glows is because the heat is still being reflected off of it. So that's kind of also, it kind of also absorbs a little bit. That is why it takes so long to heat the forge. It heats it to a point where it holds a little bit of the heat, and then it reflects the rest. So yeah. A TARDIS sticker on that doorway would be amazing, like a life-size sticker. Maybe. Alright, so I'm going to start moving some of this stuff, and then I'm going to move the close-up cam over here. I'm not sure we're going to get all the way through with this, but we're going to get some of it done, I think. Still going a little bit. Go a little bit longer. Alright, now let's focus this camera and move it where it needs to go. Alright, there we go on that one. And then, where'd it go? I gotta figure out what I did with my dust mask, because this is one of those things where it is very important to wear a dust mask. What'd I do with it? Oh, it's on the kiln. I'm a smarty. Stickler is the judge on the original Olympic Games. And here we have the outro music glow a little bit longer. Yes. Alright. We're going to take a little bit of time and we're going to grind this area flat, and then we're going to put this in and we're going to grind this area flat. That is going to set us up for Monday, where I'm going to drill out the holes, and then we'll see about riveting them together and then finessing them. So I think that's where we're going to end. Probably. Let's see. I need to grab a extension cord. I'm sorry, guys. Ugh. Extension cord. Alright, I'm back. I'm sorry, guys. I'm being all disappeary. Okay, let's do this. Whoop, that was the wrong button. It's this one. Not bad, not bad. It was actually pretty flat on its own. That is rather unusual for me. I do have a tendency to make wobbly ends. So we'll see how well this one is too. Disappear ray. Electricity is needed. Yes. Alright. Let's do the other side. Amazing. Amazing, guys. It's the best when you hook your arm on the. We can keep doing this. Disappear and reappear. Yes, you can actually do this a lot because you know what? My name goes with so many different words. Definitely something that we talked about when, or that I was, informed when I was a kid in grade school. Some kids can be mean. I'll just say that. All right, we're taking a look at what we can do for this. What can I do? Looking at it. All right, so I think I have an idea on what I need to do. Ray Smithy with a power tool seems somehow a little wrong. It already looks tongish. It does look tongish, you can kind of put them together like so. So I think what I need to do is, because they are a little bit off, I think what I need to do is spend a little bit of time grinding on this one. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably end the stream here and do a little bit of this on the weekend so it'll be ready to go on Monday. We'll see what we can do. All right? Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have an amazing weekend. And yeah, thank you all for the follows and for, joining me. I've had a lot of fun. All right. Outro. Maybe this time the outro won't, stop. Thanks, Mahalo. You have a great weekend. All right, let's see who we can raid off. I'm sorry for, abruptly raiding, too. Ooh, pottery. Let's do some pottery. Spinny, spinny. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a great weekend.